Unmute.
From who's in and who's out with interviews, breaking news, separate lies from the truth with the room of proof. Follow your team from the draft through the playoffs. No layoff, we stay on the story to pay off. It's 24/7 football at your fingertips. Watch, read, or listen. Blitz Analytics bringing it. BLITZ.
Oh, all right. Cutting it off short. Welcome into the Blitz Breakdown, presented by Blitzlytics.com, where scouting meets analytics and you meet the newest crop of off-field talent. Big shout out to our sponsors, Key City Brewing, Drink, Rebel, Repeat. What's going on, Ashton Moore, Mr. Blitzlytics, chief resident fan, somebody who has been on this show periodically throughout the years. One when he called the Patrick Mahomes resurrection. What do you want to call it? Yeah, ascendance to greatness.
The ride for a minute, and I like to pop up when it just seems the most opportune, just to really encapsulate all that we're going to be able to enjoy from someone like this team, really. And you couldn't draw up a better individual event than what we are getting in about 48 hours from now. So it's an absolute blessing. Life is good, and we're here, brother. Let's get it going.
Man, we are here, and I'm excited. We've talked about this for a while now, about the possibility of my team seeing your team in the Super Bowl. We got to see it earlier, which we will get into in just a minute. Earlier preview this season, but I don't think it is going to have anything to do with this game. But man, It has been a long road. I think it's one of those things, like we called it. I know me and Rob have it on file.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have it bookmarked. On episode, the preseason episode, or the preview of the season, where we called this game. And I have it, on file, me stating that I thought the Bucs would get here, but that it was going to be a Patrick Mahomes-like show, and he would do whatever it took, just like last year, to get it done. And so I re-listened to that episode, and now we're here, I mean, what the crazy part about it is we're now here after this season, after COVID, after all this stuff, all these negatives happening in the world, and my team, your team, are in the Super Bowl. Damn, it does. It feels good. I hate to rub it in to all the other fans.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is beautiful. But
I mean, this is the matchup everybody wants to see. I mean, this is in every bit of its essence. And I've been seeing kind of like, MJ versus LeBron being thrown around, but really this is Ali versus Tyson. Like, this is Brady's best scenario, his best situation. This is the best weapons he's ever had by far. It's a top 3 defense, I would say, that he's had in his career, and he's had more flexibility than he's ever had in his entire career. He's always had to deal with the whole Belichick dynamic, which, I mean, I know it has been talked about ad nauseum at this point, but he's gotten to, you see those movies of like the veteran soldier who just wishes he had a younger body so he could use his wisdom, because Brady has seen all that you could possibly throw at him in a NFL game, but now he just has a plethora of actual just legitimate weapons. Like, when you think of what he has at his disposal, the Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown mid-season, and then Rob Gronkowski, historically, there isn't many other personnel groups that can match up to that skill level. And you're giving that to a guy who many consider the GOAT, if not one of the best. And he's going against the guy that he's going to be passing the torch to. But he's getting it with a full belt at his disposal. So we're getting a genuine Clash of the Titans matchup here, and it's just you don't get this. You don't get this in any type of sport, and nonetheless football.
Yeah, and I'd hate to scratch each other's backs all episode long, but now at the same point, you talk about all these weapons. You talk about the greatness that is Brady and the surrounding talent he has for the first time probably in his entire career, to have that much talent, to have that many Pro Bowlers or All Pros, or top 5 at their position across the board. I mean, from their offensive line was one of the tops in the league. His weapons are probably the best weapon group, or the deepest at the very least, but I think it's got to be the most talented. But then you have Patrick Mahomes, which is the complete equalizer to all of this. Like, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Travis Kelce. You can't defend them both equally. You have to give this offense either one or the other in terms of looks. And what we see,
it's a challenge.
It is. It's such a challenge. And the matchup wise, this falls into both. Like, in certain scenarios, it falls into both teams' favors. Kansas City's offensive line is banged up. You guys are down 5 total starters, or 5 guys that have been
starting 5 guards. Starting 5 guards on the offensive line this weekend.
It's insane how depleted you guys are. Can Patrick Mahomes overcome that? That's going to be, I think, the biggest question going into this. But then again, at this very same time, what the Bucs do best, Kansas City is better at in terms of counterpunching. So if you do play man coverage, you better hope that blitz gets to Patty Mahomes in time, because if not, Tyreek Hill is going to once again go for a 75-yard touchdown, or a 90-yard touchdown, or a 200-yard, first quarter.
The first half.
Yeah, not even first half, first quarter. Like 7 for 7 for 233 yards or whatever it was. It was embarrassing to an extent, but what we didn't have that game was a Jamal Dean. What we didn't have that game was, we were banged up in that game in terms of who we had in the secondary. I do think Jamal Dean is a much, much better matchup against Tyreek Hill. And also, I think the Bucs did learn their lesson, because by the end of the first quarter, they basically shut that shit down. Like, although he did still have impactful plays, he got a handful of first downs, he moved the chains for KC. He didn't have a 1,000-yard game like he was on pace for, damn near, So I think there is.
Though, wouldn't it?
Oh my God, no, it wouldn't have been. But
maybe we'll see it Sunday. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows, man? Who knows how it's going to be? I am on that train though, that I do think the Bucs could pull a Buccaneers. Like, just as great as Tom Brady is, and as great as Tom Brady has been, for Bucs fans, like, they're still extremely nervous, because we've watched our team get blown out, twice this year against the Saints, and for the last 18 years since we've been in the Super Bowl, we've had these games where we just, like, don't show up and get completely blown out. We were the Cleveland Browns of the NFC for the last, 15 plus years. So to have this massive turnaround, I hate to say it, but even just being here is like a blessing. Like, we're already playing on house money. I don't care what all the other analysts have to say. Like, I am just so happy that my team is legitimate. Now,
it's cool, right?
It is. It's nice. It's a change of pace, man. I'm not used to this. From, like, my Houston Rockets.
This is a cool feeling.
From my Houston Rockets to my San Jose Sharks. Like, my Sharks have been relevant at times, but, like, and my San Francisco Giants had a nice heater. That was nice, but nothing's more important to me than football and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm interested to see, just how this plays out. And if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to say the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm just going to be like, Patrick Mahomes. Like, I can't help it. He's that damn good. And
he's the one. He's Neo.
Something tells me at the very end of this that he will do something to win the game within that 3-point spread.
But it's Brady though. Like, we're not far off from 28-3. Like, it's going to be. You will never be able to, no matter how big of a swing at any point in the game, you will never be able to be like, oh, this is over, we can turn this off. Like, it's going to be a full hour spectacle, and it's just going to be so much fun. Like, this is the pinnacle of football. It really is. Like, these are the 2 best teams in the league this year, and we got the 4 best teams last week. Like, this has been a good. It's crazy that it took a pandemic and a shortened season and all this to have a season play out the way it needed to. You know what I mean? Like, the 4 best quarterbacks played 2 weeks ago, and it was just a genuine showing of which teams were better in that matchup. And now we're getting, again, the clash of the GOAT quarterback titans, that this game is going to genuinely frame the overall conversation going on for the rest of their both careers, especially Patrick's. if he loses this game, there's always going to be those trolls out there that aren't going to let go of the fact that Brady beat him one-on-one, because that will always supplant is Mahomes or Brady better than the other. However, if Mahomes takes this, I mean, we have, 3 years left, and while it's even a discussion, this is a genuinely polarizing game for everybody's legacy involved. This is Bruce Arians' one shot. Like, if Bruce Arians doesn't win this, he's done. Like, he will never be that Super Bowl winning coach, and he's had such an interesting career. And the Gronk versus Kelsey matchup, like, this is huge on so many levels. This is genuinely the best a football game can provide, and it's a shame because we won't have anything to look forward to once it's done.
I disagree though, because I think that you're right in the sense of, or what people are saying, it would be so hard for Patrick Mahomes to overcome a loss in the Super Bowl to the GOAT to then claim himself to be the GOAT in 10, 15 years. That one's going to be hard, because he's still going to have to go win how many Super Bowls now? Because if he wins this one, this is this is a 2 Super Bowl swing here for either player, for sure.
But you know how Twitter works.
Oh, I don't care about that. Do you notice I don't focus on Twitter?
But that's where the dialogue is going to occur.
Yeah.
And that's just the genuine sentiment and the narrative. Like, there's so much weight that comes into this game, legitimately more than any other possible sporting event I could even fathom. Like, I genuinely think this is the biggest sporting event in human history in terms of the platform and the stage it's going to have. This is going to break every record that is associated with a broadcasted event. Vegas is already saying it's going to shatter Vegas records.
Oh, I agree.
The ratings, this is all anyone's going to watch.
I think this is the most talented Super Bowl of all time. I can't remember.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember 2 quarterbacks. I can't remember a better story or a better storyline. Better paths to it. Like, I just to think of where Patrick Mahomes has gone in his career. Like, he should be on his third
4 years.
In 4 years, but really 3 years as a starter, right?
Right.
And he missed this one because of Frank Clark, right? Or not?
What? Oh, D Ford.
D Ford. Sorry. I knew I was saying that one backwards. But yeah, that one was all on D Ford. If not, you guys go on to play the Rams, and the Rams didn't show up to that Super Bowl. I think that would have been one. So we're talking about a quarterback who could have been a play away, which again, Brady could be like 1 or 2 plays away, or a play away in each one of his rings from not winning it. And I think that's what makes Brady so good, is like that every time there's that question of, oh, if you need one play, Brady will give it to you. So I can't even put money on this game because I just don't feel right doing it. Like, I feel like I would jinx myself if I put money on the Bucs, and I feel like I will be a shitty person if I put money against my own team. So I'm definitely not doing either. I'm going to mess around with a ton of prop bets, and I think we can, if we've got enough time, or if we haven't finished the drinks that are sitting in front of us, then we'll get into some of these prop bets. Yes. My question to you, though, because we talked about kind of the Patrick Mahomes, his career path, his trajectory is greatest of all time. Like, if Brady hasn't set the bar so damn high, we would already have crowned him the GOAT, for sure. Like, in terms of how good he is on film, it's the greatest film I've ever seen by a quarterback. It's the most talent I've ever seen by the most important position in all of sports. So to me, I think
it's fun.
It is. To me, I think
it's a blessing.
I think Mahomes is going to go down in like Jordan GOAT status, but Brady has set the bar so high. My question to you is, how much credit do you think Brady deserves for this getting here? Because, again, we can always lead back to 1 or 2 of these plays, or a defense, or, the Malcolm Butler situation as to why Brady shouldn't have the rings that he does. But for some reason, you take a 7-9 team who we all knew, or at least I knew, and you guys had to put up and listen to me for the last 3 years, and how talented this roster is, and how good, my boy, my close friend, Mr. Jason Light is.
Nice.
By close friend, I mean I
Nice
had a few
name
beers
drop.
with the guy. He came to our event, but it's, no big deal. But just said. How good he is, and I've been pounding, the drum or beating the table for my team for years now. You add one player, that one player then turns into adding 3 more players, and now we're in the Super Bowl. Is this all Brady? Because there is so much talent surrounding. But I feel like he is the tone setter. He is the person that takes this team and makes you believe that anything is possible. Down 17-0, we're undefeated. Sure. We're like almost undefeated. I think we are undefeated down 17-0 like this year. I think there's 3 games we've come back from 17-0. No big deal.
What a stat.
Is it him, or is it him plus a shit ton of talent?
It's a conglomeration, and just to clarify, your question is specifically how much credit does Brady deserve for the Bucs being there right now?
Yes,
he deserves 65% of the credit, and I think it really escalated to that amount about like 4 to 5 weeks ago when Bruce Arians finally let go of the wheel and let Tom Brady really kind of institute his program and his character into this. Because I remember talking, I believe it was with y'all, that at the beginning of the season, I just really saw there being a power balance issue between Arians and Brady of like, this is Brady's chance to kind of do what he wants to do, and he's older now, so he knows what he's capable of doing with the roster, but he's also stepping into Arians' kind of program. And for a while, I think there was genuine mishaps due to the kind of the bottleneck of like, what's the genuine hierarchy here? And just based on what I've seen from the Bucs recently, there's definitely some Arians sprinkled in there from like a concept and like a scheme standpoint. Like they're still stretching the field really well, and Brady's taking advantage of teams kind of underestimating his arm he still has. But at the end of the day, I think you're seeing this be more of Tom Brady's team right now compared to Bruce Arians' team. And so because of that, I personally would say he deserves quite a bit. But there is definitely something to be said for the roster that he has around him. Your boy Licht has been crushing it. Like, I mean, there's talent throughout this team at every level of the roster. And this is a Super Bowl team. And that's what's so genuinely dope about this matchup, is that these are the 2 teams that deserve to be up here, because the same could be said for all of Kansas City. Like, there's talent throughout, and Brett Veach deserves mad love for his roster reconstruction. But with this specific question in mind, I'd say Brady definitely means quite a bit, because you saw what this team did with Jameis Winston last year. It put up numbers, sure, but it didn't have that winning mentality. It didn't have that TB12 mentality, that how to win in the playoffs type shit, like how to overcome Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs on the road, like how to do that. And nobody was brought in that brought more value in that regards than Tom Brady. So I would say he deserves the lion's share. And I think he's been getting the proper amount of publication or PR due to it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure that in terms of players, I think he deserves obviously the most credit, the utmost credit. But I do think that it is slightly a disrespect to Bruce Arians for everyone to go and say that they're running Tom Brady's offense. That's bugged me all year, because Tom Brady has never.
Disagree?
I don't even think when Randy Moss played that one year, when they had that one big year, that he was ever most yards per attempt. And this year he's number 1 in yards per attempt. So that means he's out throwing, or he's throwing more than Patrick Mahomes and any of these deep ball throwers. When Tom Brady has been this death by a million paper cuts kind of guy. Mm-hmm. Do you think that death by a million paper cuts is the approach to this game? Like, in terms of how we go about this? I know I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit in terms of strategy.
No. I'm here for it.
But do you think that, is it no risk it, no biscuit? Or is it death by a million paper cuts that gets the job done? Because I do think that they blended both systems. For sure, they definitely did. But with any good coach, they're going to figure out what their players do best. Jameis is best at throwing the ball deep, so they kept throwing the ball deep. It bit them in the ass, but we were one of the heaviest yards per attempt team because that is a Bruce Arian offense. Did they mix in screens last year just like they did this year? Yes, but Brady always puts you in the best predicament, the best play, the best audible, and I think you have to put up points, but at the same time you have to bleed them. You have to bleed them from a time standpoint. So there has to be a combo. I think the Bucs need to run it down their damn throat.
You could try that. I would. It's not necessarily what plays to call, and it's gonna sound silly to kind of say this is the strategy because obviously, but you have to score points when you have the ball.
Yeah.
Because if you punt the ball twice in a row, you're in very big trouble because of the efficiency that Kansas City kind of operates at. And you could drain it from a time of possession standpoint, but at the end of the day, Kansas City's specialty is being able to score quickly. So it doesn't really matter what you do in terms of like time of possession wise. It's just as long as you're not turning the ball over and you're getting at the very minimum of field goal, like minimize as many punts as possible and be opportunistic because as the Chiefs get cute, Andy Reid loves a good oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
What do you know?
You know he's throwing at least 2 plays we have never seen before or a variation of play that we rarely ever see. There's going to be at least 1, if not 2, if not multiple gadget plays to create offense. When he doesn't necessarily have to do that to create offense because he's got one of the most potent offenses of all time.
He loves it.
But if you don't, then like you said, you do run the risk of potentially going 2 straight drives without a score, then it is all downhill from here. I agree with you. I think this game either has to be treated one or two ways for the Buccaneers. Either
and red
it's
zone
got
defense. I just want to say that red zone defense, limit field goals.
Yeah,
And,
well, you guys,
and
you guys are like 32nd in red zone defense.
No, I'm saying our red zone offense versus y'all's defense.
Oh yeah, we're top.
There's always like an end around or like a motion where it's like, oh, it could be a fake here, it could be a shovel to Kelsey, like as an underneath screen. Like as long as y'all limit those to field goals and don't turn the ball over and take advantage of the opportunities, it could definitely happen. And this is, you could already see it's going to be a magical. There's going to be so much weird shit. Like it's guaranteed to happen. And if Tampa Bay's on more of the beneficial side of that weird shit, this is, you're giving Tom Brady as many opportunities as he needs to pull this off. So, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your point. Please.
Oh, you're good. No. I was the one that was cutting in to begin with. I will elaborate, though, on that. I do think that Bruce Arians' creativity is very limited in comparison to Andy Reid. Andy Reid will do anything. Like, that, oh my God, that screen pitch.
Could you imagine?
That wide receiver screen pitch, like,
Could you imagine being a defensive coordinator against the Chiefs with 2 weeks?
Top Bowles ain't scared of nobody.
Nobody. Good for, hey, love that. Love that. Because I'm just here, like, trying to, you ever seen Queen's Gambit with, like, where she's playing chess, like, on the ceiling? I'm just trying to sit here, like, okay, so Travis Kelce is here, Tyreek Hill's here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, Sammy Watkins is here, McCole Hardman's here. Like, what if they do this? Like, what do you do that? Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, but on both sides, like, this is going to be just as much a coaching clinic as it is a quarterback clinic. It really is. And Arians has been received love his entire career for his offensive prowess and just his creativity and being able to put together just an explosive offense that can put up just as many points as anybody. And we're going to see it's a clash of titans, and it's beautiful.
It is, man. From a strategic standpoint, it really is a chess game, and for the ultra fans, the football nerds like us who crave matchups that are strategic from a man to a zone, from a run to a pass, all the way broken down. The beautiful thing is, kind of fill you guys in on this. We'll be releasing this here, hopefully in the next couple months or so. But we have something that we're at least calling right now the scouting matrix. What the scouting matrix does is it gives you the most probable play or the most probable outcome of each play and each criteria of each situation. So something we've been working on is on 1st and 10, down 25 points with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter with blah, 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 and this formation with this personnel, we can accurately determine who's going to do what. And breaking that down, we got to go back into the KC Bucks game from week 12, noticing that all this man coverage that everybody thought the Bucks were running, they actually barely ran any man coverage. They just got beat that bad to where it looked like man coverage because Tyreek Hill with 15 yards worth of cushion still is not enough to stop Tyreek Hill. But what was funny is that they were vulnerable for yards in zone coverage. They gave up almost 72, I think it was like 72% of their yards in man coverage. Or in zone coverage, but they gave up two of the three touchdowns, specifically in the first quarter to Tyreek Hill in man. So you have to be able to put somebody over the top of them. So in terms of like what it's going to take, what Bruce Arians and I think more importantly Todd Bowles is going to have to do is you're going to have to dial up pressure, but you're going to have to keep protection over the top. I would rather them have a 15-play drive than a 1-play drive. When beforehand, I think the Bucks stylistically how they approach their team is that we're going to give up a big play or two, but we're going to make a big play or two. And I think they have to dial it up and be a little bit more conservative. They didn't have, I think, a single sack or pressure when in man coverage blitzing. They got all of their sacks, they got all of their pressures in zone blitzing situations in week 12. So I think it's going to be different. I know we talked a little bit about the Tyreek Hill situation in terms of how you kind of protect him or how you cover him. Jamal Dean helps that, but you better put somebody over the top of him. And I think it's going to be a very simplistic defense of we're going to bet that our front four, which now includes Vita Vea, him coming back, which is with Chris Jones and Aaron Donald, I think the top three defensive tackles in the NFL right now, I would say. I know Vita Vea is not going to be 100% coming back after that long of being off, but I really do think Vita Vea is a top 3 to 5 tackle or D tackle.
Pass rusher or just overall?
Oh, I think even pass rusher. He collapses the pocket. There's a reason.
Fletcher Cox?
Fletcher Cox, I think, is a better pass rushing defensive tackle, but I think I'd rather have Vita Vea overall, especially moving forward.
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to run too much. I think the rushing
you ain't
attempts are
run
going to be
at all.
low.
I think it's going to be...
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I bet. But then again, remember what we said last year? We didn't expect the KC to run or KC to have any success on the run.
And Damian Williams went the hell off.
Oh,
dude.
man.
That left our MVP, bro.
Oh, man. He didn't go off till the third or the fourth quarter, but once it started paying off, it paid off. That outside run to the left, that zone run in the left, man, that was the game winner. That was the game winner last year, man.
That was a run into history. It was beautiful. But no, real quick, that's super dope. Just the capabilities of being able to produce these type of stats and like the ability to designate a man versus zone play from an observational basis and being able to put stats together from that. I'm super intrigued to see what else goes into that because I think that there's a lot of really cool shit that can come from that. But to that, I'm concerned for you that if everybody thought that y'all were doing man and saying like, oh, you should be doing zone to stop this, you're like, no, we were doing zone.
Yeah.
Like, now what? Like, what do you? Good luck, I guess.
Well,
like,
so schematically, what the Bucks did was the Bucks played predominantly zone coverage in the
cover
first.
4?
Huh? They were playing cover 3. So they went from a cover 3 zone.
They had a lot of single high, and I saw it was, and that's why I thought it wasn't because they were pressed, not pressing.
One on the top, the one over the top on the right hand side, where then Tyreek Hill stopped, juked him, and then went into the end zone. No, he was like 15 yards off. Like he was like 13 yards off the line of scrimmage. That was like Richard Sherman would be disgusted with him, like on that one. Like you have to know how to play that cover 3. Don't let him get over the top. And so you kind of, you have to let him get that underneath, and don't worry about it. Like I'm not worried about Tyreek Hill on a, like on a comeback route. Like give him that, give him that comeback route. Don't give him the over the top. And literally the safety that's covering the deep 3 middle could not get over fast enough because it was just like, holy shit, oh shit. And it was too late. It was the same thing, though, for when they played, I almost said San Diego, the Chargers, and they didn't realize how hard freaking, and how fast and the velocity that Justin Herbert could put on the ball. I think it was very similar, like, they tested Patrick Mahomes in that first quarter, and they got burned. And so after that, that didn't happen. They didn't get burned after the first quarter. There was a few good plays, but they settled with, all right, we're not going to give you the over the top, and so Travis Kelce feasted. Best thing about that, we'll have Devin White and Levante David. It's going to be a different story, I think, in terms of the middle of the field.
Personnel.
You guys actually went super heavy outside. I think you were 80% outside the hash marks, only 20% inside the hash marks, which means that there was a lot of crossing
where the play ended up.
Yeah, so it was a crossing routes. It was the crossing routes on Kelce. That. Yeah, I know, man. We've got it. I got this stuff pretty down, dude. I'm pretty.
But that's exactly how you need to approach that type of defense because all of the pressure and all of the threats are literally in that front 7. So, fuck that. Like, stay on the outsides. Like, you have speed. Like, spread it out, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful to be able to come up with that conclusion. Especially
when they were down, two of their better cover. I think Devin White was out that. Devin White, I believe, was out that game. But I know Jamal Dean was. So it's going to be a little bit better. Jamal Dean is a great cover 3 corner.
For sure.
Because he is long, lengthy, he's physical.
He's speedy.
And he's very speedy. He's a 4-3 corner. Carlton Davis is a 4-5, like high 4-4 corner. He's a physical guy. Put him on Sammy Watkins.
Right.
Like, hopefully, I don't think they're going to have Jamal Dean travel.
I'd even put him on Kelce.
Well, see, Levante David's been, I think, one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL this year. So you accept that that's what that is that you have a great coverage linebacker who's going to get beat. Like, accept it. But at least he's going to cover him, what is it?
And it doesn't take away a coverage asset.
Yeah.
I feel you. Because there's plenty of players out there that warrant coverage and attention.
Yeah.
And, the Carlton Davis on Watkins makes sense. He's been dealing with a calf issue. We'll see what percentage he's at. But, no, I can definitely attest to the fact that this is going to be a different Buccaneers team in terms of availability. It's going to be fun.
And at that point, you had still both of your starting tackles. So
no, we lost.
No, one. Yeah, you had one. You still had Schwartz, though, right?
We had Fisher.
Or Fisher. Schwartz was right side.
Probably done. They're both done. This is Future's gonna have to do a whole thing at the offensive line. Trust him, but
Mahomes,
it's a mess. It's a mess right now.
But what's crazy is he has been something that I was talking to somebody about just the other day is like. The one thing about Patrick Mahomes in this GOAT approach to his career is that he's been banged up the last 3 years.
Yeah.
He has not been healthy. He's powered through it. But he gets hit, and he's not afraid to.
No.
Like, as a Chiefs fan, are you someone that, looks at that and goes, hey, not only save yourself for the next play, but save yourself for the next 10 years?
I hate every play that he runs. Like, they're phenomenal, but nothing I can watch on TV scares me more. I don't know, besides an Alex Smith run, because those just wreck me.
Nothing makes you go,
this guy shouldn't be out there. Like, someone get him, save him from himself. Like, this is terrible. Next to that, at Patrick Mahomes because he shouldn't be doing these things. He's reckless, but it's this kid at heart aspect that he brings to the game. Like he just plays it differently than everyone else. So he puts himself in situations that, as a fan, like you're asking, you do not want to see, and it's terrifying. And that apparently he's doing well with the toe. The toe shouldn't be an issue according to him. Obviously, that's never going to be 100% honest.
Bullshit. Turf toe is turf toe. It does not go away in 2 weeks.
Turf
toe is like a lingerer, man.
Yeah. And he's going to be moving. He's going to be moving a lot. But if I'm just being honest, he's going to get pressure, and they're going to pressure Patrick Mahomes. But I'm not as worried about Patrick Mahomes being pressured as opposed to anybody else. Like, him being pressured doesn't mean the same thing as anybody else being pressured. That just means he's going to do something else. Away from the design play. So it's like, I want to see him do those things. That's when the coolest shit happens.
Oh, yeah. That's when plays break down. That's when coverage can't keep up with how fast all three of those guys are. Plus Kelsey. Kelsey has a feel for soft zone coverage better than I think any other tight end in history. He knows, he can backpedal and find himself an open area. He just always knows where the defenders are around him, which is a beautiful thing. But
from 3rd and 4th to 3rd and 7, bet your life savings on the prop of Kelsey first down. Whatever the odds are.
We can actually go and we can do the research right after this, and I can tell you exactly the probability of that.
Do it
if you want me to.
Is there over under first downs? Is there an over under first downs
Holy
prop?
Shit.
There's got to be.
I never thought about that. The scouting matrix should actually be used for live betting.
I mean, if you want to become a billionaire.
I mean, I wouldn't say no. I will say this, though. Remember that sign in Step Brothers? Investors? Possibly
Maybe you. No,
what's up, FanDuel? Come a call and we got you.
Yeah, come through. What up? You up?
Yeah.
No,
hey, buddy. All right.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be... I think it's going to be the greatest Super Bowl of all time.
It should be.
It should be. Or it won't be. Who knows?
It's too... It's going to be weird. Something weird's going to happen. That is... If I could predict anything, it's not going to end like it should because nothing does. And I just hope it's nothing bad. But what's the chances of the greatest previewed bowl game ever coming down to the last second in the most poetic way ever? I don't know. Maybe it will.
But I feel
this is
destiny. I feel like we all, all football fans, all sports fans especially, are craving this so bad that I think we are all going to will it into existence.
And
this is going to be
than ever.
Yeah. Or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes will it into existence, and we'll have nothing to do with this, which is probably the real truth of this. I know we kind of touched base on individual matchups, talking about Tyreek Hill, talking about Carlton Davis. To you, or in your opinion, what is the most specific matchup that you're intrigued with, and which one do you think on both sides of the ball or for either team is going to be the best for each team to exploit? Because I think, obviously, Chris Jones facing any form of a backup is going to be something that KC looks to attack.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the Bucs are going to do the same thing with with your entire offensive line. And I do think that if there is one thing that's going to be the telltale, it's going to be between those two. How do each teams deal with this? There's other matchups that are intriguing. There's other great matchups like the Levante David, Travis Kelce, Jamal Dean facing Tyreek Hill, and seeing if that speed actually matches up a little bit better or better than it did with Davis. But to you, what is the most important matchup or the most exploitable matchup for each one of these teams?
It's just funny, like when you look at it from a preview perspective of just the talents at play, that there's just obviously going to be so much intrigue just from the skill position players because of just how much genuine talent there is between these two personnel groups. Like this is the greatest 7 talents from like a wide receiver perspective. Like you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins. Like all of that is going to be consistently on the field, so it's going to be hard to not watch that. But it genuinely is a battle of the trenches. I think that you're going to see a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that is going to try to take advantage of a very much so depleted Kansas City offensive line. I mean, again, we have 4 guards out there, like, but with that, are you throwing more? Are you throwing more numbers at it? Are you blitzing? Are you taking players out of coverage to kind of overpower them, or is there going to be more? Are you going to trust the 4 going to be able to generate a pass rush to make Pat get off of his rhythm and be able to take advantage there? It's going to be just a beautiful chess match, but I think it really is going to just come down to the pass rush on both sides, and I just see a lot of physicality. I see a lot of just chippiness, because what really hasn't been talked about and spoken about is these are 2 chippy teams. Like there's a lot of attitude and a lot of personality in here. And if you watch the Chiefs and Bills game, there was a lot of stuff that went on outside of the plays. I mean, Chris Jones like punched a dude. That didn't get called, thank God. But
you should be suspended. I'm just kidding.
No, we're not gonna. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. No, we did.
We're good. But I mean, like Ryan Jansen's definitely going to be chippy in there, and like Chris Jones and Tom Brady have had a genuine rivalry the past few years. Like going back from that first AFC Championship, like they got in each other's face. Like this is going to be a mouthy game. Like let's get another prop out there. If there's 0.5 injections, I'm saying over. Somebody's getting injected this game.
Do you think so? I don't know. Two good of well-coached teams, but yes, Ryan Jensen is the most chippy asshole in the NFL as of right now, I think. To me personally, Jones, I love it.
Craig Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, they're all going to be talking.
Oh, yeah, but
L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, but I think have you heard Tyrann Mathieu and Brady talk about each other? Like, they are, like, madly in love with one another. I think there's too much respect. They're, like I think Matthews is a huge professional in that sense. I know he talks trash, but if you heard the between... Like,
for sure.
In between the play talk between them. Oh, so much respect. So I think they'll be like, seasoned vets in that sense. I
don't think they're getting ejected. I think someone like Mike Pinnell or like Derek Nottie or like one of the lesser players is going to get ejected because the refs aren't going to throw out like a Tyreek Hill or a Tyrann Mathieu of the game. But I think it'll get to a chippiness level that there will be an ejection at some point. I don't know if that's a prop, but it should be. It's Super Bowl. Why wouldn't it be?
All right, so here's a fun one, and this is something that we got sidetracked on. I've been trying to bring this up for a few topics now. So last year in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, like we were all like texting each other in our little group chat, just like laughing at like every snap he was under pressure, and that was with a good offensive line, a healthy offensive line. That was with
Eric Fisher.
Against a stacked defensive line. One of the most stacked defensive lines we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Bucks got a pretty even defensive line too. But the reason why we started tracking pressure escape rate was because of Patrick Mahomes and that Super Bowl. We just wrapped up our yearly pressure escape rate research project. And although I'm trying to find the numbers right now, I'm mid-podcast. We don't have a producer on the show to be giving me one right now. We're doing this shit on the fly. So I do know that basically Patrick Mahomes had like a 50% completion rate when under pressure. Still outstanding. Still outstanding. The craziest part is that it was an almost identical, I think it was like 5.1 to 5.2 or 4.1 to 4.2 touchdown to turnover ratio normally compared to when under pressure. His completion percentage drops by 20%. Obviously, like close to 20%. I think it's like 18%, 15%, something like that. Again, I'm trying to keep these off of the cuff. I'll make sure I post all these guys or all this information tomorrow for you guys on Blitz Twitter. But his touchdown to turnover ratio is identical. His completion percentage drops, but obviously, like, you are smart enough to know that we all know that, like, that's just him throwing the ball away. But the fact that, like, he is unfazed by pressure to me is outstanding. And it's like, it's crazy that we literally had somebody track every snap and every play all season long for the quarterbacks this year, all because of what Patrick Mahomes did in the Super Bowl last year, and then to come back and look through this research and see that basically he's doing the exact same thing. It was not an outlier. Like, he almost doesn't need an offensive line to find success. It's great to have, but he's one of those people that, like, if this was Brady, if it was the roles were flipped and Brady had 5 guards going into this game, the betting line would be like 90-10 KC to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They've got 1 guard missing, Alex Kappa. They've got Stinney in, who's done okay, but they've always kind of pushed. They've pushed the blocking scheme towards him so that he's getting help with Ryan Jensen since Kappa's been out. And the Bucs have been on a 8-game winning streak since week 12, since we played KC. So they've been able to make do with. It's a different team. They've been able to make do with the offensive line is the only point I was making. But if we're going to move on, if the Chiefs win, finish that statement. Like, is there one bullet point you can give to finish that statement?
If they don't cost themselves the game.
Oh, come on.
In the sense of
Come on.
In the sense, all right,
okay, John Madden. The team that scores the most points is going to win the game.
Right. But, like, you see these mishaps that they do in the playoffs. Like, against the Bills, it was the McCole Hardman just fumble the punt, like, on the 4-yard line. Or it's the Texans shit where it's just bad mishaps that Will Fuller just, like, the safety and the cornerback run into each other, Will Fuller takes off. And it's just stupid mental mistakes. Like, they don't just fall asleep at the wheel, and they take the Super Bowl as the Super Bowl. And because Tom Brady's made a career on capitalizing on opportunities and having a defense who gets him the ball more than his defense has to go against the ball. And it's just genuinely just not run. I'll say that.
No, so I've
just
always
don't run against Vita Vea and healthy linebackers and a front that we are mismatched against, and do a lot of Travis Kelce short plays and do a lot of Tyreek Hill decoy threat. Just be you, dog.
I've always loved the example of a game plan for a football team in terms of the overall game plan. Not just offensively, not just defensively, but like a team mentality standpoint of a boxer or a fighter in the ring. And sometimes I feel like KC is that fighter or that boxer that is just kind of lackadaisical in rounds 1 or 2 and lets a few rounds go, in terms of, the Mayweathers or the guys that are just kind of like that feeling out process or don't, I guess Mayweather's kind of a bad, I don't know if it's a filling out process. It's more so like they just don't show up a few rounds. But once the pressure starts building, especially on Patrick Mahomes, that's when you guys get rolling. That's when it's like, oh shit, if we don't win these next 2 rounds, or we don't win this next quarter, we don't put up 17 points in the next 10 minutes, it ain't looking good for us in the 4th quarter. It ain't looking good for us in rounds 10 and 12. So that's to me is like that team. That to me is how you guys are from a fighter standpoint. If you're just like from a philosophy standpoint on how you'd call a game. I think the Bucs are that guy, or is that fighter that will just continuously keep punching, and never stop. They're not afraid. They're not afraid to take a punch. They're not afraid to give it. They're willing to get vulnerable and put themselves up, and make themselves available for mistakes. And I think that's where it's going to play out is, do the Buccaneers show up first and start punching heavy and punching hard? Does KC come out flat and kind of like taking a game off or taking a half a game off like they have notoriously done in playoff time, especially like you said, the Houston game last year, down 21-0. It doesn't matter when you come back, but it still matters, especially against Brady. Don't go down 21-0 against Brady and play off Lenny and Rojo and think that it's going to happen. But at the same time, like you said, if they don't give the Bucs any extra opportunities, I do feel like punch for punch, Kansas City is going to win this game.
It's just all about not making those mental mistakes, just being sharp, just doing your job. These are all elementary and fundamental elements or aspects of winning an NFL game, sure, but that's really all that needs to be focused on is don't do any stupid shit. Just do your job and it'll be fine. But their Chiefs are weird. There's always weird stuff that happens in every Chiefs game. That's why they had such that crazy stretch that they never beat the spread. And everyone just says oh, no, the Chiefs just, they can't blow out teams. It's just weird stuff that happens, and it just directly comes down to they just don't focus for a whole 60-minute games. And I think it just comes down to the fact that they think that they have the biggest dick on the yard. And they do, but they need to just be disciplined with it and not try to just flaunt it around and swing it about. You're like, I got to worry about anything. There's not Tom Brady on the other sideline with a plethora of threats. And it's just play the game and just be professional. That's all I got to say.
Did you just call your quarterback a dick?
No, I'm saying they got the biggest dicks.
Yeah, I'm saying, you said dick is in singular, and so I figured that you're talking about specifically Patrick Mahomes.
The royal dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyways. So then on the opposite side, because I agree with you, as long as they don't give up extra opportunities, because I feel like the Bucs are going to make...
Don't fumble on special teams.
Yeah.
It's little shit like that, but they will happen. There will be some weird shit that happens Sunday night because that's just how the Chiefs play football.
I got a feeling that there is going to be a 2-1 turnover margin. One team's going to have 2, one team's going to have 1. One team's going to slip up a little bit less. And
I say 3-2.
2-1.
I'm feeling 3-2.
You think 3-2? You think 3 turnovers? I think the Bucs defense, if they cause
under 4 total turnovers.
We'll see what the prop bet is. I'm down to do some team camaraderie when it comes to doing some betting this weekend, but it's not against my team. Not for or against my team. Can't do
Just props.
Just props. Just all on the props.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as a collective, what can we both celebrate coming into this weekend? On the other side, for the Bucs win, I'll answer this one and then pass it on over to you. The Bucs win I think the Bucs win if they have 30-plus carries. If I'm trying to go down to a singular stat line, if I'm trying to go down to a singular yes or no, I think the Bucs win if they have 30 carries. Because you guys are 23rd in yards per carry and 25th and against the running back in terms of receiving and everything. I think playoff Lenny is going to be the difference maker. I think if 30-plus carries, 2 touchdowns from Leonard Fournette is what the Bucs need to win this game. I truly believe that they are at a disadvantage when it comes to Chris Jones versus a backup right guard right now. And so if you can run the ball, establish the run, that's going to make the difference. That's going to be the difference maker. And establishing the run, not getting down early, pushing the run first, setting up the play action, which is what they've been doing. I'm literally repeating what I've watched on film, what we charted out. They are very run heavy early. But what's crazy, and a good fun stat that I seen, and that we pulled from it. I pulled all of Brady's interceptions, and his interceptions normally, like there's a few outliers, typically come when he's either up 14 or up 2 scores or down 2 scores. So he either has the comfortability to be like, all right, I can throw this interception right now, or I can put up a chance for an interception, knowing that I have a defense and a 2-score lead. Or I am down 2 scores and I need to get something going no matter what. So even if I do throw an interception, it does not matter. It's better than not trying at all. So like that was kind of a cool stat to pull from the scouting matrix and seeing exactly why he is throwing these interceptions. So like there might be a stat we can actually pull from that, like an interception to or a turnover to point differential,
situational basis.
Yeah, and so that might be a new little thing to kind of pull up and see, like taking the risk when the risk is available to either be putting the game, ending the game.
I promise you, Derek Carr is going to be in the bottom like 5 of that. Because he has the smallest ball. Like, he throws short of all the sticks. Like, he just doesn't.
He was statistically a top 10 quarterback this year. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he loves the garbage time. But it's fine.
There was not much. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and you are goddamn bitter about it. I would be too.
I don't want to mention Derek Carr for the rest of this podcast. They have no place in this conversation. But I will.
I was going to say, if we're going to keep the conversation going, we could talk about the QB carousel of all time, or basically the great quarterback reset, which I believe is going to happen this offseason. But which could involve Derek Carr. Oh no! I'm talking about in the grand scheme of the entire league. Like we just seen two two-star quarterbacks get moved. Rumors of
the Super Bowl,
before the Super Bowl,
legitimate franchise quarterbacks have traded teams already.
Carson Wentz
is about to get
Wentz is about to get traded. You've got quarterbacks retiring.
On the way out.
Watson will refuse to play. He's going to go somewhere. But let's get through the most important stuff first, and then if we have some time, or if we want to take a commercial break and come back to it for another hour, we can. But let's get through this right now.
The flow. We're good.
What for you in terms of what you think? How do the Bucs win this game?
I will piggyback on your point, but in a way, I think they win it for a different reason, and it's because if they get that many carries, what was your number? 30?
I think 30. 35? Yeah, 30 carries. I think. Let me rephrase that. 30 touches from the running back position, because I think they're going to utilize. Your guys' linebackers are trash. No offense. In coverage,
Hitchens is improved, but yeah.
Stats say otherwise.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
That'll be my name to watch.
Because I think the focal point of the Bucs offense is going to be the tight end group, like it was last time, and it's going to be the running backs coming out of the backfield. Rojo can't catch the ball. For the love of God, don't put him in on third down. Let playoff Lenny handle it. And I think we're going to have... I've got the over on... I think they've got Leonard Fournette at 25 receiving yards. I got the over on that shit. I think for sure.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think he's going to break one for like 20 yards, and then he'll have like 1 or 2 more catches to get there.
I'm not mad at that. Ben Neiman will be covering him on that play. I'll just go ahead and call that now because he is indeed trash. But I think if the Buccaneers reach that level of carries, it just means they've done what I said the Chiefs can't do, and that's just give the Bucs more opportunities than the Chiefs have. And the Bucs are driving, and they're able to maintain a running game. They're able to keep the ball that long, and they're keeping the ball out of Kansas City's hands. And that's just Tom Brady's bread and butter. I mean, he is the Floyd Mayweather of quarterbacks. He really is. Just he can get in shootouts, but I don't think that's really what he wants to do. I mean, he got in a shootout with Nick Foles of all people, and that game shattered passing records. There was more passing yards in that game than any game in history. He's capable of doing it, but at the same time, that he's not going to win that way, as evidenced by that game. And I think if the Bucs are going to win, it's due to the fact that they made the necessary opportunistic plays and were able to control their tempo and go from there. But yeah, I don't see it.
I agree with you. It's got to be like tempo based. It's got to be like the Bucs in complete control of clock management, complete control of
just complete
limiting,
draining.
Yeah, just draining them, just sucking the blood out of them. The death by a million paper cuts, but still, you need a big chunk plays. They're going to need turnovers on defense. They're going to need a lot. Like, they do need the perfect situation. I can't see the Bucs winning in a 45-41 shootout. I feel like that is going to be playing KC's favor because they can score faster. But to think that the Bucs can't score,
if the Bucs win, it'll hit the under.
I agree. If it hits the under, the Bucs definitely win. Right. I think there's a chance the Bucs win no matter what. In terms of they put up all but one or 2 weeks since their winning streak, they've put up 30+ points. KC can't say that. Like, this team can put up points. Can they put up points against KC? We'll see. But they only lost by 3. They were down by how much after the first quarter and only lost by 3? At the same time, I do agree there was some analysts talking about that game could have easily been a Bucs win or could have been 50-0.
McCall Hardman dropped like a 75-yard touchdown, but it's fine. We don't have to worry.
Yeah, that was that little quick slant, that little slant where he dropped it. There was no way. That was a complete blown coverage, so that won't happen again.
It's only right coverage. McCall Hardman has a big game this week. So if we're collecting like a prop, collection, there's a McCall Hardman bet in there.
Bucs are during the regular season, not one of our stats, pulling it from another show I listened to. They are the worst when it comes to special teams coverage this year. But did a damn good job on the last 3 guys, and Bucs have won the special teams battle over the last 3 weeks, and Mickens has been outstanding returning the ball.
Okay.
So it's gonna be interesting, man. There's so many variables. There's so many potential outcomes that I struggle. I really do struggle to wrap my head around, like, honing it down into 1 or 2 possible outcomes. So, like, when we get into final predictions right now, like, I'm so lost. I haven't been able to write anything down. I'm going to throw something out of the top of my head. I have no preparation for final predictions, whether it's the score, the MVP, or the overall deciding factor. Like, if we have to come down to one specific stat line, whether it's turnovers or sacks or whatever it is, oh, man, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be, if I got to go score, feel like it is going to be like a 1 to 2 point win for Kansas City. Like, and this is, again, obviously, like, I'm taking fandom out of it. I'm taking everything I love, everything I love out of this. Like, I'm trying to be a professional here. And as much as I have confidence in the Bucs, like, I have so much more confidence in the abilities I've seen from Patrick Mahomes to just do some crazy shit. And he's only lost, 2 games in the last 2 years? Like, that's saying something.
It's beautiful.
I mean, the Bucs have obviously, like, to get here, this has to have been one of the hardest roads to a Super Bowl of all time. Heineke was one thing, but...
Yeah, Heineke was one thing, that's for sure. And there deserves a lot of props to the NFL in general for being able to construct an entire NFL season in a time that there was literally nothing else operating. Like, they started this whole planning and scheduling and trying to generate a fully functioning professional football league in the middle of a pandemic when everything else was shut down. And they did it. And we're going to watch a Super Bowl this Sunday with a full-on halftime show, which, by the way, the Weeknd is... Weeknd's going to crush it. I don't know what props...
Did you hear about that? He put $7 million of his own money down?
Bro, he's about to destroy stuff. Like,
how much?
We're going to be talking about the Weeknd on the Monday.
All right.
I want to say that. Like, there's something that's going to happen that we're going to be talking about the Weeknd on Monday.
I want to know how much money the NFL normally pumps into
$5 million, probably 4 to 5.
So he's like over doubled that. So like, what are you gonna get? Like, what are you buying for that in terms of performance? Like a 12
And
million.
there's like thunderstorms and shit. So this is like his personal like.
Oh, we didn't even bring that up before we get into predictions.
Please, yeah.
We do have potential for. Well, like, it's an 80% chance of rain. It's likely going to happen.
Oh, it's raining, dog.
It's going to happen, but it's going to happen unless, like, things change. Majority of it's going to happen before kickoff.
But is it going to be, like, heavy?
It's supposed to be pretty good. Okay. So you're talking about a wet field?
That's that weird shit, dog. I'm telling you. This is going to be a weird game. This isn't going to be something like oh, there's just one haymaker after another. Like, no, weird stuff is about to happen. But it's going to be really cool.
Do you think that bad weather plays into the favor of the Bucs because of their defense and run game?
I think so. Just the way, like, the momentum and energy is kind of like, there's going to be some weird things that go in the Bucs' favor. Just like, if it wasn't raining this hard, it wouldn't have slipped out of his hand this way, and it would have gone into Carlton Davis.
You're pre-building excuses. I don't like this.
No, that's just kind of like how I'm seeing it. Like this, it's too built up and too perfect for it to play out that way. You know what I mean? So I'm just like looking at the elements at play. I'm like, this is gonna get shiesty. Like I don't like how this is playing out, but I have faith. I've seen enough from my team to have confidence in them being able to weather this literal storm. And from there, you just got to enjoy it. But it's going to be weird. That's my main prediction of this. And last year, we did pretty good at like saying like, it's going to be just a chess match, and Juice will probably get a touchdown in the red zone, and they're probably going to focus on this matchup, and we nailed that. But I'm just seeing this isn't going to be as a heavyweight battle like we're all hoping and predicting it to be. I think the weather plays a play in this.
I sure hope so, because I really do think that if it is a wet field, if it's raining at all, it plays into the Bucs' favor so much, because
for sure
KC is going to have to be so pass happy. Like, which
I
again,
hope.
you're basically just stating like, we're going to put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands,
right,
and see what happens. Like, which isn't a bad thing.
It's really that easy. Like,
it's really that easy. But if this is any other team that's not Patrick Mahomes, like for the Bucs, that's exactly what they want to do. They want to just have their DNs and their D tackles pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. No, which is what they've done all year. Shut down the run game, tell you, nope, this is the wall. You can't come past this. You're going to have to throw over it, and then boom, sack after sack after sack after sack gets built up because nobody else is available. Once they have to throw, it's a wrap. But that plays into KC's favor because that's what they do better, and they have the man coverage mismatch.
My lock would be over Clyde Edwards-Helaire receptions. I think they have been holding up that entire part of the playbook this whole year of, like, when you remember watching him as a prospect, like, his biggest specialty and his biggest strength was his ability to play as a wide receiver after being motioning out to, like, the perimeter and being used as a receiver. That hasn't been done so far. And Andy Reid really likes to hide shit. And he really likes to disguise stuff and do weird shit so that for people that are watching film on them for future opponents, they don't really know what to expect. And they haven't utilized Clyde's most glaring, I felt, strength coming out. And I always felt that was for a reason. And I think they're going to unveil it this week.
Remember that seam route that Kareem Hunt ran?
Oh.
Like when the playoffs like 2 years ago?
Damian Williams scored on it last year.
Yeah, that same one. I got a feeling that
back hip.
You're going to see that. You and me are going to text each other the second that happens in 2 days, because it's going to happen.
Ooh,
I feel like that wheel route is going to happen.
Yes.
Like, that's something I could see. I get an itch in my bones. Like, that's an Andy
Reid.
He'll catch it.
That's his game. That's his moneymaker, and that hasn't been used this year.
I feel like there's a lot of the playbook that we haven't seen this year, just like there was in the Super Bowl last year. They did a lot of stuff that you seen, but they did a lot of stuff you didn't.
Remember the one where they all span at the same time?
Oh yeah.
And then Travis Kelce. Yeah, it was silly.
That was stupid.
That's Andy Reid's.
That was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was funny. Because like that.
It's funny. Yeah, I don't think you'll laugh too much at it this week, but
yeah, exactly.
I think that'll come back. I think he's gonna do that again. It's a silly play.
Andy Reid, like I said, he definitely wins on the creativity battle, and I think he'll generate offense just from creativity, as to where Tom Brady has done that with Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. I do not see that. I mean, the only thing we've got this year was like a flea flicker. Like, we did not get a whole lot of creativity. Like, we could see that. I'm
Tom
sure
Brady's
we likely see.
Methodological.
Yeah,
methodical by the book.
He is a mythological creature.
He is.
He's the GOAT.
Very much so is.
He's the GOAT. He's got He's got the body of a god and the head of a goat.
For about 47 more hours.
We'll see. We'll see, my friend. All right. Final predictions. What do you got for the score? I never put it down. I gotta write this down right now because I don't even know what looks good.
I'm gonna say 35-31.
35-31.
Just beat the spread. Just right there. Gonna come down to the wire. Some late fourth down conversions don't go the Bucs' way, and Chiefs are back-to-back champions.
I'm saying 38-35. Casey. It hurts. It hurts. Like, I want to go Bucs. I want to go Bucs so bad, but, like, I got to be real. Like, I said this, you know, I would be lying to myself right now if I picked my team to win this. Like, it's so bad. I'm happy to see
You're
my
a professional, damn it.
I'm just not full. Like, I'm not somebody who's gonna like pump my own head full of shit and think that Patrick Mahomes is gonna Patrick Mahomes. You know?
I get it. I admire the courage, but just you have to do it to enjoy the ride. Otherwise, you're just sitting there with angst and just like, damn it, like why is this happening?
Yeah.
Instead of like, wow, this is a really, really cool just game to be able to experience. Like we will never in our lifetimes be able to experience something like this. This is Michael Jordan versus LeBron. This is Ali versus Tyson. This is any sports parable you want to give. Like this is what we're all wanting to watch, and it's a very, very telling and a very heavy game in terms of just legacy value for both of these Brady and Mahomes legacies. And we're getting towards the end here. I just want to go on record and say, if the Chiefs win tomorrow, I think Patrick Mahomes leaves at some point within this next contract. I think he goes and plays baseball. I think he just gets not necessarily bored, but like what much more is there to accomplish? And he goes the MJ route and he goes and plays baseball. And sometimes I don't
think so.
Hey,
if he does, he'll never catch Brady though. You can't leave a sport and still catch
Brady. What do you mean? Like why would he have to catch?
It doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter though. Like you're talking about Brady on a like.
If he wins four championships in 6 years, like that's going to be more impressive than 6 and 21.
I agree to an extent, but it doesn't still make him it doesn't instantly make him the GOAT. You have to.
That's what this game does.
For Chiefs fans, maybe
it will do that.
For Chiefs fans, maybe, but I think he still has to surpass to get the GOAT status. You are now going to have to legitimately like beat Brady in hardware, and until you beat Brady in hardware, again, like Brady, that's the thing is like the Bucs really are playing on house money right now. And I know people are talking shit about this statement, but they shouldn't be here. This is year one. This team should not be. This team has not peaked yet.
Oh, they're all in.
They have not peaked yet, though. Like, from a offensive efficiency standpoint, they have the ability to have everybody back. Like, I'm sure they're going to have to lose probably Ndamukong Suh and a couple other guys.
You think they'll be a Rocky too?
Oh, dude, come on. Like, tell me that right now these aren't the Super Bowl favorites for next year.
You gotta see how offseason goes. What if the Packers regain Aaron Jones and they somehow pick up
that's been because they've done so well in the playoffs when they played the top team.
They need another wide receiver. That's offseason.
And
last year we didn't see Tom Brady
defensive line, linebacking core. Like linebacking cores are lacking in terms of the NFC outside of the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, like if Deshaun Watson goes to a contender, it can quickly be changed. Like, all this stuff can quickly change. But as of today, if you had to put money on
I'll say that
Chiefs,
people in the Super Bowl now are Super Bowl favorites next year.
Yeah.
I would take that safe money.
And you almost should want to say that, like, every week prior to the Super Bowl because they're obviously the best team.
I'm sure people would have said that about the 49ers last year, and look at them now. Like, it's...
Injuries are you know what, man.
And I stand by what I said earlier. I think this is Arians' only shot, and this is such a massive game for their legacy. It's going to be much fun.
I feel like Brady is going to be has so much fuel for this game, more fuel than he's ever had ever. Like
Patrick Mahomes is about to have his daughter, and nobody is talking about this weekend. But heads up, look for within the next 46 hours, Patrick Mahomes will be a father.
Maybe his head is elsewhere right now.
Maybe. It's terrifying. I'm nervous about it. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, when's the best time for him to have a child? It should be tonight. Like, they need to have a C-section tonight and, like, just get that out of the way. We can enjoy it tomorrow, but make sure she's in Tampa Bay. Like, I'm stressing myself out about the logistics of the entire thing. But, like, that's the beauty of this whole weekend. And all you could do as a football fan is sit back and enjoy the moment of two colossal figures in the game, because 20 years from now, they're both going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the NFL, and we get to see them at their cultural peak.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like, this really is Tyson, Ali. This is the best matchup we can get. This is Jordan LeBron. This is the best thing that we could have ever asked for, and that's why I think so many analysts, like, you know, outside of just me and Rob, predicted these two teams to be here at this point a year ago.
But for it to actually be here.
Yeah.
And to actually see, like, his first year off of the Belichick train and being able to kind of cement his own contribution to his own legacy. Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in the press coverage of this event because I think they got lazy. Like, there's so much to talk about here. But at the same time, they didn't have the players at their disposal like they usually do in Super Bowl Media Week. Fair.
They're basically, fair. I think
but that we're missing out, I guess is what I'm saying.
Again, how much could you and me draw this conversation out into an entire 2 weeks? Like, I think we get like 3 days into it and be like, shit, we're out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But again, when you go like position to position and position group to position group and like, you know, the overall grand scheme of things in history, like there's so much to talk about. And this is why I do think that this is the greatest matchup we've ever seen of two teams in the Super Bowl. You know, in terms of like projecting history. Like this projects history more so than anything.
This is a historically significant game.
Yeah, this has more historical significance than any other game ever. I think
This is the biggest sporting event of all time.
In terms of GOAT status, maybe we're biased. Maybe because you got your little Chiefs, Chief flag back there, and I've got
that one
little Buck thing. Look, I got some Buck stuff. I got look at.
Oh, don't worry about that little guy.
This little guy. Oh, that little guy. I got it. It's everywhere. That little guy.
I got this at the AFC Championship game last year.
This little guy.
I rode 18 hours in a Gulf Greyhound bus to go watch this game in person.
That was awesome. We were along for the Blitz was along for the journey on that one. We should have documented that, made like a little. You should have had like a Blitz miniseries out of that one. Yeah, we messed up on that. But lessons learned. Lessons learned.
Yeah.
Should have been. That's the worst part. Is like this would have been the year that Blitzlytics could have got to go to the Super Bowl. And God damn you, COVID! My Bucks go. You and me would have been there.
Oh
Press
my
box,
God.
bro. Like, all of it, and COVID. Like, it is heartbreaking.
Next time.
Oh yeah, I'll see you next year. How about that?
There it
How about
is.
that? Next year for sure. So again, we predicted our scores. Let's get through the last two things, and then I got one little thing to hit you with, because we so-called the Kyle Juszczyk thing that I want to bring up.
We did.
An unsung hero that like we will future forecast.
Perfect.
So start believing that. But MVP, is it Patty? Is it Chris Jones? Is it Tyrann Mathieu? I predicted Tyrann Mathieu to be the MVP last year. I pray to God that ain't the case this time around.
Yeah. I think it's going to be inevitable. It's going to be Patrick. Like, if the Chiefs win, there's just going to be so much shit flow. By that time, I'm rather positive that he'll have a child by then. And there will just be so much Disney effect to it. Like, this is, at the end of the day, a commercialized product. Like, they'll generate enough narrative around that. But like my Damian Williams MVP, like last year, like Damian Williams deserved the MVP. McCole Hardman?
Yeah.
Can I go that far? Nah, Tyreek.
So if not the two quarterbacks, Tyreek.
If I get odds, like if you give me the odds, I'm like, well, if Hardman gets it and you pick him, you get like plus 1,700, or Tyreek at plus 400. Then we have a conversation. But if we're just saying who's going to be MVP tomorrow, if it's not Mahomes, probably Tyreek.
Oh well, how about we just look it up?
We putting some actual numbers on this?
The power of the internet. So I would say, all right, so we're looking at Patty is a negative 120. Tom Brady is plus 200. Kelsey plus 1,000. Hill plus 1,000. Leonard Fournette plus 2,500. 2,800 for Evans. 3,000 for Godwin. 3,000 for Matthews. 3,000 for Devin White.
Matthews?
Woo!
Who's Matt? Oh, Tyrann. Okay, go ahead.
Tyrann Matthews.
You're good.
Yeah, apostrophe it, like I was saying. Like
You're good.
Yeah, saying ownership. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 3,500. Shaq Barrett, 4,500. McCole Hardman, $5,000. Or 5,000. So you bet 100, win 5,000. Antonio Brown, 55. Ronald Jones, 55. Darrell Williams, 66. Sammy Watkins, 66. Man. Chris Jones, 6,600. Frank Clark, 66. Cameron Brate, 66. Willie Gay, 66. Scotty Miller, 66. And Rob Gronkowski, 66. Damn, no love for Gronk. Very dead last.
He won't get it. If I was to say anybody with those numbers provided, I'll go Clyde.
You go Clyde? See, I would go, if looking at that, I would say Leonard Fournette. Before looking at that, I would say Leonard Fournette, if not the top two guys, obviously. After that, I would say look at what Devin White's done since he's gone back from injury. And he is just like a highlight reel type player. Always around the ball, makes interceptions, forced fumbles, like 9 sacks at the inside linebacker position is goddamn insane. Like, who does that? This guy should be talked about as Defensive Player of the Year, and nobody's even saying his name.
Yeah.
100 plus tackles, 9 sacks. Like, I think he's got like 6 turnovers or contributed to 6 turnovers. All kinds of shit. Like, it's just, he could possibly be the unsung hero here. It's crazy that Levante David doesn't even make the list, though. That is disrespect. All right, who is the one player, then, that you think is going to have that impact like we talked about with Kyle Juszczyk?
One Thornhill.
Thornhill, really?
Mm-hmm. He's a safety. He's really turned it on the past few days. And last year as a rookie, he was really, really good. And he was crushing it, and he tore his ACL at week 17. Missed on the entire playoff rush last year. And then this year he kind of was just getting his grips. But the Cleveland game, he was crushing it. The Buffalo game, he was that was the first time you saw him come back. You're like, oh man, like this is a huge development. And he's kind of the center fielder in this whole aspect because he'll play deep, and Matthew will start over here, like pressing the slot receiver, and then he'll end up playing cover 2 on the other side. Like, he's the chess piece. Juan Thornhill's kind of the deep guy who's going to take advantage of the Mike Evans, just Tom Brady heaves, or the Scotty Miller, just deep throws. Like, with age, you can't really put them on a line like he used to, so you're more lofting these up. And I think he's a guy that people are going to know his name a lot more familiarly than they did before the game. Yeah.
All right. See, we're sticking to the same position. I am going Antoine Winfield Jr. for all the exact same reasons. I love it. But that wraps up the show, man. Like, I'm not going to repeat it because exactly what you just said, basically. I think that he is going to make some impactful plays. I think he is going to do something that is going to be that one play you were just talking about that makes the impact. So, man, I appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck the next week or two, or the next couple days, and over the next couple seasons. So, let's do this again next year. How about that?
Sounds good to me, brother.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Blitz Breakdown, presented by Blitzlytics.com, where scouting meets analytics and you meet the newest crop of off-field talent. That is Ashton Moore. I am Jack Bourgeois. We are Blitzlytics. This is the Blitz Breakdown, and we will see you all next year. Blitz out.